As it's 2 p.m, according to my computer, I'll open the County Council meeting for today, the 18th of November, and welcome to Lithgow, one of the 4 constituent members of Upper Macquarie County Council. Firstly, I'd like to make an acknowledgement of country. Council acknowledges the traditional custodians of the lands where we work and live. Council celebrates the diversity of Aboriginal peoples and their ongoing cultures and connections to the land and water of the New South Wales Central Tablelands. Two apologies now, General Manager Lisa, who is acting as General Manager for this meeting.
So that would be Tim Johnston, General Manager, and Chairman Member Councillor McGibbon.
Thank you. Do I have a mover? No. Leslie and O'Connor, all in favour? Against, carried. Disclosure of interest. In the business paper today, does anyone have any disclosures? Silence. So I think we're supposed to note it. Yeah. So do I have a mover that there's no disclosures? Fry and Smith. All in favour? Yes, carried. So we move on to item number 3, confirmation of minutes. Now I believe there needs to be a couple of amendments. Someone was missed. That was Smith.
So sorry.
So sorry. You were in attendance. Do you remember you? And I think you moved or seconded a couple of items. So you're both probably busy. So do I have a mover? All right, Fry and what?
Let's make an amendment to include Councillor Smith's attendance for that meeting. And was there another amendment that you picked up on?
I think Member McKibbon emailed me to ask if it could be reworded around who attended at lateness. And I think I've given Lisa something, or so it was just about who arrived when or something, or how. Yes, how late the chair was.
Yeah, he was later than that, wasn't he?
Yeah, sure. So, and that Councillor Ewan was an apology. So, there was just a slight wording. I think both of them were late. Acknowledged they were late, but just wanted a slightly different wording on that one. Has anyone got any other issues with it? So, all in favour with the amendments? Against? Carried. Now, matters arising out of the minutes. Does anyone have any matters that aren't covered in the business paper today? If there are no matters arising, we'll move to item 4, which is the matters in progress. So please take note that the General Manager is not here today. So we do have another County Council meeting in December. So unless you can see an item there that's highly urgent, I suggest that we just move second pass it. But so do I have a mover though for the Amanda Smith and what? Sorry, are you?
No, that's all right.
Smith and you.
Please go ahead. No, you go.
The chair has called.
Already.
So discussion. Is there any questions that want to be asked on what's here that we can possibly answer? Otherwise, as I said, we look at deferring any questions until the next meeting. Given that there's silence, the table. So all in favour? Against? Carried. The chairman's minute. So there is a link to the chairman's report, which was emailed out to the members. So I'll move the chair that be put. Is there a seconder? Fry. So a quick explanation, and there was 2 recommendations there on, with regard to the wet weather, the floods. They are having an impact. Our number 1 priority is with staff. Some of our staff members have had flooding of their own properties. Another staff member has had an inability to get out of their property because of flood damage to their road. But also just in recent weeks, being able to get into paddocks has been a huge issue. And again, we don't want to put any of our staff members at risk. And on top of that, there's been challenges with drones as we're putting them up because of the weather conditions. You can't put them up in the rain and all of that. And also with the conditions that we have encountered from time to time as well. So there are 2 recommendations there. First one being council note the challenges and monitor its ability to maintain its ordinary operations, placing staff safety and wellbeing at the forefront of operations. And number 2, the general manager provides an operational report to the 16th of December 2022 council meeting and determine if funding agencies should be notified of any WAP funding target challenges. So we're going to move on a seconder. Any other discussion or concerns or debate?
Well, just a comment.
Yes, Member Leslie.
The ability to get onto paddocks for inspections and re-inspection is difficult. It's clearly understood. But the Upper Macquarie Council would not want to be liable for damage to people's property, getting bogged and damaging the ground and sort of having other equipment getting to get your own vehicle out. So that's an understanding that that needs to be considered in this issue. So throw it in.
Yes, yes. Damage other people's properties. So, Member Ewan, did you want to add anything?
No, I totally agree. Yeah, I think it's good move. Yeah, we need to emphasise the fact that we're working under difficult conditions, so to speak.
A report will come out next month to the county council if there is an inability, and that's how we see a lot more sunshine like we're seeing today, so that things start to dry out. But as many of our constituent councils are also encountering major challenges at the moment with damaged infrastructure as well. So it's across the board, the councils and this county council are having challenges. But a watching brief, and then we will hopefully get a better idea come December of whether it is actually impacting on our ability to meet those targets. And then we can let the agencies know. Given we've got a mover and a seconder, all in favour? Against? Carried. Item number 6, government programs, 6.1, legislative compliance. There's a recommendation there. The council notes the report under legislative compliance. Do I have a mover? Member Fry, Member Smith. Discussion. Anyone got any questions, comments or queries? Silence. I shall therefore put it. All in favour? Against? Carried. 6.2.1 policies. Pesticide notification plan recommendations. Recommended the council adopt the revised pesticide use notification plan. Do I have a mover? Member O'Connor, Member Fry is the seconder. Any discussion on the plan? It was provided as an attachment. There were minor modifications, but I stand to be corrected. I'll ask the Chief Security Officer, but mainly changes in chemicals or organic chemicals.
Previous Chair, yeah, so the majority of the changes are just updates to dates and numbers and that sort of stuff. The only other change in there is the adding of 2 chemical products to the thing, which the 2 products are only used as 1 chemical anyway. It's basically the 2 halves go together and make the 1. And it's basically a organic alternative to our glyphosate product.
Is it effective?
Sorry?
As effective?
As effective on your grass-based plants, sort of thing.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, Chris, could you just clarify that, please? It's an organic alternative to what?
To glyphosate.
To glyphosate.
Yes. So it's called Local Safe, And basically, it's an acid-based product to use, sort of thing.
So the active ingredient is just the acid,
Is the acid, so
so it's a contact.
it's a contact spray, the same as Roundup, so it'll only physically treat what it's been touched on. And
It's not affecting the enzyme like glyphosate, it's actually just destroying the
just
leaf
destroying
matter.
the leaf matter,
Yeah, cool.
yeah, and that's why it's effective on grass-based plant, but not so much on
Yeah.
leaf-based plant, because it can only affect what it physically touches.
Mr. Chairman, that'd be a bit more like gramoxone. It's actually just a direct contact.
It's a direct contact, yeah, so it's made up of acetic acid and hydrochloric
Oh, okay.
acid is the two active ingredients.
Oh, hence the mixing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then there's a non-iron surfactant that goes with it to make the whole lot become one unit.
So again, Mr. Chairman, so is there any risk to start if it's got hydrochloric acid? Or I presume it's,
Yeah, so you still got to wear all your PPE stuff. So the amount of hydrochloric in it is very small compared to the main ingredient.
vegan acetic acid,
Sorry,
vegan acetic acid.
vegan acetic acid, yeah.
So that makes it a bit like vinegar in that case. So,
Basically, it's a super strong version of that.
so that's not going to be a risk if it's
So
made.
now,
So,
step
yeah.
in there, so all of our staff are trained in the use of chemicals and have their ChemCert cards. And so based on that, they know to find the SDS labels and rates, etc. So, and usage of proper PPE.
Yeah,
Does that help answer that?
yeah, it does, but I mean, hydrochloric acid is a different kettle of fish to, say, glyphosate.
Yes, yes,
Yeah, so no, that's,
yeah.
I guess the county had some alternative, or an organic alternative.
An organic alternative for the glyphosate side of things, and then also, as we're all aware, you can't get hold of any fluid-based products at the moment. So it's another alternative for that as well to try and help us.
Are there sections of the community that object to anything that's not organic, and therefore this is some attempt to alleviate those concerns? Or is there another reasons for this?
So as defined for our rural roadsides, we have a definition. So we stay away from sensitive areas. So that's our first way to mitigate that risk of coming into contact with those that are not wanting to have those sorts of harsh chemicals near them. The other thing is if we do have complaints, we do try to work with somebody that is a landholder that may object to that. However, it is council's roadside, it is their problem, it is their land, and so we have to do what's right for council, or that constituent council that we're doing the roadside work with. Yeah, but we do try and work with the landholder.
Any further questions? Not all in favour? Aye. Against, carried. 6.3, finance. 6.3.1, asset changeover. There's a recommendation or two recommendations there. Council note the report on the purchase of 4 new fleet vehicles and exceeding the budget set for the purchase. Number 2, make a retrospective alteration in the second quarter QBRS budget after December 2022, which will be February meeting that will come to. Do I have a mover? So movers, member Smith, Leslie, member Fry, is the seconder. Any discussion or queries or comments? It's inflation, it's next to impossible to get vehicles.
Still a fairly good price though, to be honest, like for BT. Obviously a good deal.
Whatever that means, it's a type of BT. Extra tough.
Like our staff.
But anyway, hopefully, we may be able to get 1 or 2 of these vehicles in the near future and third or fourth further out. So fingers crossed. The 2 of them come on to replace probably our 2 oldest vehicles straight away. But And then the other two are probably 3 months or thereabouts is the indication. General Manager, have you heard of anything different?
No, that's about it.
Lovely.
So, and we do have the cash, so the extra $50,000 we do have as cash reserves, as we'll see in a moment. So, okay, no further comment, discussion? All those in favour? Against? Carried. Okay, 6.3.2 investment report as of the 31st of October 2022. Recommendation council notes the report. Do I have a mover? Mr. Smith. O'Connor. Mr. Seconder. Okay, the report's there in front of you. Any questions? There is silence. I did have one, or do have one, to the acting general manager. We do have a large amount of cash in the overdraft account at the moment, earning no interest. I know you do have an answer for me, but why do we have so much cash in the overdraft account?
Well, as you just saw in the previous item, we're looking to buy vehicles, which will take a lot of cash, and then to move it or secure it in an investment to then have it locked up again and may not be withdrawn in time to pay for those. That was my concern. So I left it there.
Yeah, I just wanted an answer so that everyone can hear the answer that I got earlier.
Dorothy Dixon in there.
It should be noted we are earning 3.35% on a no September account, so we could use it a month.
It's called a 31-day notice saver. It's a West Package account.
So,
That's good for at the moment.
so my council, what's the Lady Council, is getting well over 4, 3, 4, I think were the last couple I noted in the report. Maybe you were.
The plane's really cool.
But I'm sure most councils are getting around the same, so that's a fixed term of 12 months.
That's good for a low amount, like 1.4.
My intention is to follow that investment policy and follow up and see what else we can get.
But it will actually benefit our financials because we budgeted for a small amount of interest, and of course it's quite substantial. So, what we do.
Good job, Roseanne.
Other than that, any other questions, queries, or comments? If not, all in favour? Against? Carried. Okay, 6.4 human resources, 6.4.1. Now we're missing a recommendation here. So I'm just going to suggest in the minutes that we put the council notes the report as the recommendation. So do I have a mover? O'Connor, Smith. Any discussion about the structure? And noting here that the general manager is going to provide a further report.
Should we do something a little more solid than note the report, like it's recommended that the structure keeps the same?
That is the recommendation at the bottom of page 18.
But we don't have a recommendation.
Well, we haven't got the big word, we haven't got the word recommendation.
What I'm saying is the recommendation should be as loose as Councillor Reynolds is saying, if it's a legislative requirement, we should actually not just note the report that's given to us, but note that the structure will remain the same.
So
Just a governance thing, Councillor.
Sorry, I will move that we recommend that the existing structure be maintained.
yes, so we'll amend the recommendation. Moved by Member Fry, seconded the amendment by Sir Leslie. So any debate or so you've got the right wording, acting general manager.
Great structure.
Great touch. So there's no further debate on the amendment. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Therefore, the amendment becomes the motion. I don't think there's any further need for any further debate. So those in favour? Against? Carried. 6.4.2 Work, Health and Safety Self-Audit Action Plan. Again, council notes the report. Do I have a mover? O'Connor, Fry. Any discussion? I do have one question. It says here that there's a meeting, there were some areas that needed to help improve. Any indication of what areas were, or take that on that?
Yeah, I'll take it on.
Okay.
So I think that we, I can't remember specifically. It gets quite detailed when it comes to work. The purpose for that audit though is for a multi-purpose. So there are a lot of things that didn't apply to us. So it kind of looked a lot worse than it actually was.
Any other questions, comments? If not, all in favour? That's carried. Item 7, landholder support program. 7.1 aerial spraying program, autumn 2023. Recommendation there that council notes the report. Do I have a mover? Member Smith, Member Fry. Discussion. Questions?
If the weather, is this reliant on the weather clearing up and we're getting some decent sunny days and so that everything works better, or is it?
I've got a direct question to Chief Fire Security Officer.
Who knows what's going to happen?
It is and it isn't. It will be, we need the weather to obviously be calm when we're trying to undertake the work. But at the same time, we need a little bit of dry weather prior to that to let the ground dry out enough that we can get the equipment on site to undertake the work. So at least this year we won't be searching for water to use. So
I do have a couple of questions. Firstly, is there any update on Program
last time I talked to them, they've given us the same date again, which is, I see as a positive. At least they haven't postponed it out like they did the other time we talked to them. But at the same time, they're still not waiting for it to actually get to us. So the other products at this stage, we can still readily get at the moment. It's just the fluke that we're having.
So that's blackberries. Yeah. So it says here the 15 landholders that have been mapped. Are there any more for the blackberry program? Or our observations in the paddocks, there's a lot of blackberries taking off.
It's slow, it has slowed down compared to what we're getting. They're still chasing them up, but the interest has steadied up a bit at the moment.
Is there sort of a promotional campaign, given this is an autumn campaign?
I came to that one, yeah. So the program assistant and I will be working together shortly about how it is that we more on the marketing side of this program.
Any other questions?
Yeah, so Mr. Chairman, Chris, so you're looking for more people?
We're looking for more people, as many as want to come on board, happy to. The only trouble we have, so the blackberry side of things isn't a drama. The tussock side of things, we don't have any chemical to supply, but if they've got chemical they're sitting on and they just want to stick it out, we can assist with the side of things. We have the landowners we have got in the system for the tussock at the moment, those 50 hectares, they have the chemical themselves. So if you know people like that, or people that are interested in the blackberry,
I know people that should be interested.
So do we.
We know a lot of them. Yeah.
Do you have any marketing material?
Yeah, everything that I've designed.
Oh, yeah.
And you've seen that.
Word up.
Mm-hmm. Publisher.
Little letterbox drop to the people that should be interested.
I would put it off more internet.
Yeah, sorry, can I just ask, so you mentioned some village meetings, and I'm not sure if you have village meetings, but they would be a really good opportunity for us to attend and potentially promote something like this, or at least the events we've not just been. So is there some way that we could get a hold of whoever arranges those meetings? And
yes.
Maybe
you can visit the rest of them this year, I'm sure that's doable.
well, I know 12 Flat came up
That was last night.
And Killeen.
Hill's been postponed, so that's an
You have
opportunity.
Hill's and Trunky and some form.
Yeah, beautiful, yeah, so, and if any of our other members might have all of these little bit of changes, Nimbla, KPD, I know that they.
There's a Walden Valley.
There is, isn't there, Golden Valley?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to work out, but I can't remember. So you might check with the council.
Love to, yeah,
With the council as to when that's on.
yeah, perfect. I was just hoping that we might be able to.
They're concerned about their road, of course, but I mean, no reason they can't be broad in the issue.
Yeah, our major concern with attending some of these village meetings is that it becomes, or, you know, we don't get all the positive feedback that, you know, that it's worthwhile.
Should they really lay in the chemical as such, you know, and seasonal conditions aren't all that favourable in early autumn, they'll make it into the late autumn, early winter, so to speak. Do you think we could delay the program to still make it happen?
We'd still run the program as is with Blackberry. And as we were saying, pick up whoever's got product for the tussock, we can put out for them. If we do get product for the tussock turn up, there's potentially an opportunity there to put it out. And that's why we're trying to push a lot of the landowners that are interested to get the mapping done. Because if we've already got the mapping done and the product turns up, we can turn around and say, right, let's go. The drama we're facing is a lot of the landowners, like those 35 that we've got lined up for tussock, have all said to us, we'll do it, but we're not going to map anything. And availability when it's here, but we can't give them availability and we won't know the price until it gets here. So it's a bit of a, we call it catch-22. That's it. They don't, but just because we map for them doesn't mean they're committed to anything. It would just let us be all prepared, so when the product turns up, we can just turn around and go for it.
Further questions with regard to the aerial spraying program? If not, all in favour? Against, carried. So 8.1 roadside spraying 22-23. I'm happy to move a recommendation with 8.2. So the recommendation that's currently here is the council note the report. And the second dot point, a report comes back to council in December, noting the roadsides to be controlled in 22-23. So the council, each of the members are aware of their constituent council areas of what is being proposed. Do I have a seconder for the amendment? O'Connor. Discussion.
I'm aware of the Chairman, I'm aware of the concerns by this council, the council's responsibilities with their road spraying aspect. I have spoken with senior, not the general manager, but other senior members of the council about the potential of being the biosecurity Act responsibilities on that. And that was taken seriously by those that I spoke with. However, the special rate variation that's been proposed in Lithgow Council will be debated on Monday week. And so I think you just have to wait and see what's coming up. But the matter has been raised, and we'll just see what happens. But they have been. I drew their attention to the biosecurity responsibilities, and I was informed that yes, they were perfectly well aware of those responsibilities.
The next matter also discusses that too, so we'll discussing those two. So
just a question, just obviously the report due back to the December meeting. I know that we're not expecting feedback from council to the 30th. Add enough time to pull that report. I know this regional council won't have a meeting in January, so are we preempting too early? Could we get that time?
No, but we
Yes, firstly to the acting general manager, then to the chief vice secretary.
Sorry, so my understanding is that the agreement's been shot off to each constituent council for them to review the roads that we're planning to frame with the funding that they've already given us. And then when it comes back and the agreement is signed, we will start. So then what we'll do is we'll take that list of roads, pop it into the next report, so you guys are aware.
Whereas this next recommendation, 8.2, probably answers your question.
Yeah, I'm just conscious, like the chairman too, like there's another report as well, and it's a short turnaround for
Yeah.
a small
The
period.
road
But most of
route-
this information should have already been collated
Yeah.
or thrown to the chief vice secretary. Yeah.
No, it's good, no, it's good.
Yeah,
It's already been
Providing
provided.
workload.
yeah.
It's been provided to the councils already, so it's just needs to be provided to the county, to the members.
Yeah.
It was the-
Yes.
Any other discussion or questions? If not, all in favour? Against, carried. 8.2, roadside discussion paper, the recommendation that council notes the report. Member Smith and Member O'Connor. Any discussion on Leslie wants to add anything further on this discussion on the previous matter? I'd like to outline what Blaney discussed earlier this week.
Yeah, well, from Blaney's council point of view, basically we'll double Blaney to do it on a 3-year rotation, more or less double our contribution from around about 19, I think, to about 38,000. Reason I don't think that's unreasonable. We tend to think that currently on a 6-year rotation, and our other councils seem to see that is sensible in the sense that 6-year rotation, we're really not going to gain a lot if that be the case, because with the seasonal conditions around in the last 3 years, we're just sort of chasing our tail. On 3 years, if we did double our contribution, I think at the end of the day, over a period of time, we certainly would see a reduction in the amount of weeds. And as I said, and the other night at our meeting, that it's pretty hard if we've got manholders on that side of the fence and asking them to spray weeds, and on this side of the fence, which is our responsibility, they can't see anything happening, only on a 6-year rotation, that it's almost impossible that we're ever going to control these. We're not going to eradicate. If we to control them, I think generally we tended to think 3 years was, a reasonable possibility of being able to do that. So, our council felt that probably to allocate that money, that wouldn't probably happen until we start to do our budgetary stuff early in the first quarter of the new year, sort of say, around February, March, April. So we think we've got a pretty good argument, because we have, and Bruce has suggested on several occasions, which I agree with him, that our voluntary planning agreements, particularly within the control of the wind farm guys, and should Regent's Gold come off, so to speak, and even currently with Cadia, some of those monies could be redirected, particularly because all those 3 companies have projects in our rural areas that we felt that our rural landholders would feel as though they're seeing a little bit more for their money, so to speak, in the long run. And I think our rate base is basically largely rural, so we feel, Bruce and I feel that we need to be showing that we're giving them something back, more than probably our rubbish roads and rates, so to speak. So I think we've got a way to go yet, but I'm quite confident that maybe we can get an increase, which in the long term, we'll see some pretty good results. And I also suggested to our other fellow councillors that St John's Ward currently is almost ready to burst into bloom, so just take a notice of the roadways around the Shire or anywhere where it's happening in the next short period of time, because that's a good indication of how the weeds have certainly spread and populated the roadsides. Also, without looking at the Blackberry situation, which is pretty much phenomenal too. Yeah.
Thank you. Member Ewan, any, Bruce, a member of what? Is there any update from Oberon at this stage, or?
Not that I've got. There is no.
It's Mitchell Fry, that's, I suspect you'd have other more pressing type matters at the moment. That we've already heard from Lithgow, so any other discussion, information? If not, all in favour? Against, carried. Okay, item 9.1, biosecurity compliance inspection October 2022 report. Recommendation council note the reports. Do I have a mover? Member Smith, Member O'Connor. Discussion or questions? There's no questions. Could I make 2 spelling changes? Firstly, 46 of 110 were first inspections, so there's this typo there, and also 90 days past were where. And another question, as in year to date, so financial year to date would be value 2 on how many we've actually done in total, if that's possible for future reports, just to have a running total plus for that month or that period between council meetings. Any other questions or comments?
Probably comment, that's it. I think they're good results. It's been a short turnaround. Many times to do so long.
Particularly again, 56 of the 110 were high risk. And it's also good to see that 39 of the 64 were still high risk, but there was 25 that had what people had done work on, so showing that a number of the landholders are actually undertaking control work. I think that's the, is that correct, Chief Biosecurity?
I'm just trying to see, so, sorry, in the table you were saying we had where was the typos with the numbers?
Someone put that last one.
No.
First.
Yeah, another word.
Yeah, no, sorry, guys.
Okay, any other discussion?
Probably worth noting too, just feedback from this village meeting, our aim was identified sites. And it's probably worth noting that staff have turned around an outcome of that within less than a week. So I think congratulations. It's amazing to be able to sort of go back to each contact and say that or to turn that around in such a short term. So well done.
Any other comments or questions? If not, all in favour? Against, carried. Penalty infringement notices. Council note the report. Do you want to move up? Member Fry, Member Smith. Questions, queries, or comments about PINs as thank you to the Chief Biosecurity Officer for more details. I think that was a question the last meeting, so it's quite comprehensive now, the information on the PINs. Any questions, queries, comments? If not, all in favour? Against, carried. Item 10, other matters. 1, the County Council meeting scheduled. Recommendation, council adopts the proposed meeting schedule for the rest of the year, 16th of December 2022. Do I have a mover? Smith, O'Connor. Discussion? Does it look as if it also?
Yes.
2 PM. Any other comments or discussion? If not, all in favour? Against, carried. 10.2, County Council meeting schedule 2023. Recommendation council adopts the proposed meeting schedule. You may note that there's, I think, one less meeting than scheduled for this year, as the right general manager.
Something like that, or two less.
But there is the opportunity to put in an extraordinary meeting, possibly the September one, but again, it's depending when the accounts are done and finding the financial done. I was going to suggest, with regard to the budget process, a potential workshop in April of this year, of next year, sorry, this financial year. That I don't have a date or anything, but it's to come back to the next meeting with a potential workshop date for. Sorry, okay, mover and seconder.
Sorry, just speaking there. Oh, yeah.
So member Leslie, member Skip. So, geez, sorry, member Leslie.
So you are planning to move the next ordinary meeting, a workshop meeting in April, but I think we'll probably give the June meetings.
The only trouble is we have to set the accounts. So we've got the June meeting, we have to pass the budget. So we bring it up in May and then we put out a public exhibition and have to pass it in June. That's hence why the May and the June meetings. Which is,
You might want to bring the May meeting, hold it in conjunction. Yeah, that workshop meeting.
the only trouble is it's the finances are about, the budget we're about to pass. So it doesn't give the staff much time, maybe half an hour to modify before we put out a public exhibition.
Tell you what, I'll leave up to the administration.
I think we'll come back in the December meeting with a potential date of the workshop to see whether it works with the members. But we'll leave this as it is. It's just a suggestion to note that, and as it also says in the report, that we can have an extraordinary meeting if required. So I do have a mover and a seconder.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
They're all that,
Fine. At this stage, but I think again, it is a lot easier for Bathurst councillors, but
Oh, no, it's just a nice central location, good for the staff, you know, to improve productivity and efficiency for them.
the only good thing is on the other side is, for example, coming to Lithgow today, that you can actually see what's happening in the paddocks and the roadsides.
Yeah, that would drive this road.
So, which, yeah, and again, I very rarely drive it. So, I said there are opportunities on the other side to have a look at the constituent councils areas, but again, at this stage, it's just setting the dates. The locations can be done at a later date.
Should we
I'd like the meetings in Kelso.
should we default it to Kelso, then we can change it if necessary? Perfect.
And the original suggestion was we do 2 meetings a year outside of Kelso. So this is back a year or 2 ago. We ended up doing 1 at each constituent council, including Kelso being Bathurst. So it may be that we just go to 1 or 2 councils in the next areas and then do a rotation every second year, go to the other 2. But again, only these are the meeting dates, we'll look at locations.
Yeah, we
except
haven't
for the
been-
next meeting.
We haven't been out Tobin yet.
Yes.
Oh, I missed it, yeah, sorry.
Okay, if there's no further discussion, all in favour? It's carried. There are no notices of motion or decision, so I don't need to move or rescind it there. So we go to item number the confidential reports. The recommendation will be that council now moves into closed committee of the whole to discuss the following matters. 12 prosecution case and 14 compliance agreed by security inspections for October 2022. The reason for those 2 is section 10A 2B, information that would be disclosed prejudice the maintenance of law, the Privacy and Personal Information Act, and number 13, debt write-off, section 10A 2B, the personal hardship of the resident or ratepayer. They've been recommended by the General Manager. These are confidential reports. Do I have a mover? Number 5, Member Smith, I think it was. In favour? Against? Carried. Go off. Okay, we are back in council. There is a motion that the recommendations of the committee of the whole be adopted. Now, I'll get a mover and a seconder, then we'll read out the three recommendations. So moved, Member Fry, seconded, Member Smith. And once the GM's written that down, I'll get the GM to read the three recommendations out.
Item 12, prosecution cases, that council notes the report. Item 13, debt write-off, that the debtor be given an extension of 12 months to pay off the liability to Upper Macquarie County Council through to 1st of November 2023 with no interest payable. Council will reduce the outstanding amount to cover its costs. 14, compliance and lead-by security property inspections for October 2022. Council notes the report.
All in favour of the recommendation? Against? Carried. At 3:26, I shall close the county council meeting. Thank you.
Still a record.